Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sabine, for the introduction. I must tell you, when Sabine asked me, do you want to come and talk in front of that AMLD audience? Of course, I said immediately yes. Thank you very much for the invitation. And then somehow kind of freaked out. Because really, well, and I must say, the first two presentations I just saw didn't really reassure myself on the fact that I'm legitimate to talk to you guys. Because really, well, I'm not an expert in the field, and basically you are much more experts than me. So I hope I will manage to share our experience in that field. And yeah, as Sabine said, I'm really here for the applied part, but the real applied, not the applied research, really applying in the field. So what we've discovered so far. And also, I asked Sabine a few minutes ago, do you want an interactive session or a classical session? And of course she said, oh, please do it very interactive. So cool, thank you very much. Well, that was me asking, so. And I was actually thinking about a kind of different format for a conference that I tried only once. So you are not the cobaye, but the second ones. And it went well the first time, so I don't know what it means if it doesn't work well today. In terms of statistics, not really relevant. So I must do it quite often to see if it works or if it works not. But the format of this is basically audience-driven. It's like the test-driven development. Some of you may know that, like you write the test first, and then you let it drive. And here, I will actually try to let you drive the presentation. So we'll see if it works or not. But before we go into that part of the session, which will be really the majority of it, just to tell you a few words about who we are, who I am, and what we've done. Just a few words, and then I'll let you drive. So we are archives, radio and television archives. We have like 200,000 hours of video, more than 200,000 hours of audio content. So quite a lot of content for a small company. We are not YouTube, it's not very big data, but clearly it's kind of a lot of content. And we are also facing some kind of challenges in terms of public service media. So we are facing the challenge that, young audiences are a bit in the direction of not seeing us. We have the problem specifically in the archive, to actually extract all the content and provide it to the audience. And yeah, basically the main problem we have is how can we tell the story of the people, tell the heritage, who we are, based on the content, and majority of our content is actually not documented well. So we don't have that many metadata in our content. So these are a few challenges we have. And as Sabine said, yes, we used quite a lot of machine learning, different techniques and tools to tackle these challenges. And I could talk about it. I could also talk about the impact on the human, on the organization level, and everything else you want me to talk about, even technical stuff. If I succeed somehow to answer your questions, I'm not that sure, but we can try. And so now I will simply do something that is, letting you asking questions. Yeah, I will get back to it. So. And just maybe to give you a few ideas, I'll just very quickly show you a few things that we have here, that's our organization. That's the search tool where we have facial recognition in place. And these are basically the tools we've built and made within our archive. And so now I'm really interested to understand what is interesting for you to know and understand about what we've done.
So I'm going to start off. So how is this tool used within the RTS? And how has it changed normal production?
Clearly, we have all these tools you're seeing right now are used in production right now. Part of it, what you see here exactly, is there are more tools in the administration part. So not that many people within the company use them every day. But the other ones here, for example, that's a search tool that producer journalists use every day when they look for content. And one effect of machine learning you can see every day in our systems is basically this. The first sequences you have here, these are written by a human. These sequences here, where you can find specific persons within our archives, these are written by an algorithm automatically, extracted automatically. So one of the consequences right now is that people see data coming out of algorithm and not only from human.
Yes. Okay, I'll get you the microphone.
So last year I had the pleasure to see the presentation of one of your colleagues, I guess, certainly on this, and he said that you were using it for illustrative purposes. For instance, you were looking for a picture of Donald Trump and then you had several pictures, and he said one of the next step would be to write the text and have text recognition and then proposition of illustrative images for this. Did you come to this next step, or it's still on the pipeline?
Not yet. It's still on the pipeline. We have still on the pipeline also a quote tool, which will be really having the possibility to know exactly what, I don't know, Doris Leuthard said about which topic exactly when. That's really, we have all components working, like speaker identification is working. We don't have that much data in our people database of voices, but technically it's working. The speech to text is working already, and the facial recognition is working as well. So all that combined is just an engineering problem to make the proper tool to have a quote tool available. But that's the one you asked is a bit further in the agenda.
I have another question. So you already hinted at the human impact of this. So there's a lot of media coverage about that AI may take away people's jobs. So are there people whose job it was, for instance, to annotate videos before, and now this is done automatically and they have nothing to do?
Yeah, basically we are impacted heavily. What happened so far, our experience so far with that, what is a fear and also a kind of reality, what happened so far is that we have more work to do. What really happens is that we now generate a lot of data, much more than before. And now we have to actually transform the capabilities of the people who were just able to annotate to make quality checks on these data. So for the moment, we actually didn't lose capacities. There are a few people will not replace when they retire, but in the same time, we hire people like data scientists and other skills. And for the people in between, we try to find ways to handle these new data sets that are really huge and that we used to not use before. So for the moment, it's kind of a neutral system. I don't know in the 5 or 10 years.
I kind of saw an audience in your tool somewhere. It used to be that radio and TV were a one-way channel broadcasting. And today, media are far more interactive and otherwise also available on other channels than TV or radio. How has your approach to audience, or how does your product evolve as you learn more about your audience? I mean, what can you tell audience-wise?
But that's a very hot topic for every broadcaster in the world. Really to understand, to change the model from the model of a classical broadcaster who tells you the truth and a model where you are really a lot more of interaction with the audience. So it changes quite a lot of things. In our area, for the moment, in the archive, what we do is we go much more in contact of the population. We make public projection, etc. We do a lot of yeah, we do a lot of things in the field, not only in the social networks and the website, but also in the field to discuss more with the audience and sometimes to co-create the content with them. But that, frankly, for the moment has nothing to do with machine learning stuff. Where the technologies we think will help also is, of course, in terms of recommendation algorithms and all that area. But for the moment, so far, I must confess, this thing are quite touchy, and I'm not sure we have the proper answer right now. Meaning, for public service media, when we want to recommend something, it's not only a question of just finding the common points of the videos you've seen. It's also saying something to inform and educate and entertain you that maybe is not directly related to the interest. So what Netflix does, for example, we are not sure we want exactly the same algorithm. So for the moment, the answer I can give to you right now is we don't really know. We invest a bit in that area, but we don't really know how we will really take all the audience information we can automatically to change the way we work. So that's also on the pipeline to build some kind of tool that helps us providing the right content for the right audience. But that's only on the pipeline and it's not in production yet.
What sort of content are you annotating? And also, how do you decide what content you want or you're interested or stated otherwise? What are the goals of the annotated content?
Oh, basically, we try to annotate every content we have within our archive. The goal is simply to make them easily searchable. So we can discover our archives more easily. I can show you a few examples of searches that weren't possible before and that are possible now with this kind of tools. Maybe I should show you one. We had a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, a journalist coming and asking, okay, can you actually find this guy? Mattia Binotto. I don't know if few of you know him. So this guy, Mattia Binotto, used to be a track engineer in Formula One, but now he's head of Scuderia or something. So journalists came to us and say, okay, do we have images of him? And we were sure we had, but how could we find them? Because no one actually put any information about him because he was just a track engineer. And now we have a small tool where you can just upload this image coming from Wikipedia. It will live, it's done already, but it detects the face within this image and then make a similarity search within our whole archive. And now we are able to find videos where he directly appears on screen. So that's just an example. I'll run it for the sake of... Yeah, it works. So that's the kind of thing we are now able to do with machine learning techniques that we weren't able to do at all in the past.
So along with entertainment and documentaries, you're also presenting the news. And in the imaging field, there is this problem or new advent of deepfakes. Do you think you will be able to train network to recognize deepfake in order to not start a war or commercial war with some other entities?
I will be honest with you. I hope it's not recorded, is it? I see a lot of work in that area, in my opinion, but I'm sure I'm wrong, so I'll let you contradict me. But in my opinion, we are trying to do something with an algorithm that is really impossible for a human and very difficult for a human. And in my understanding of the field right now, maybe we will succeed eventually in, I don't know, years. But it's not really the focus I would actually choose, because really it's a hard question. It's like, okay, now the deepfakes is really something that you can do easily, but understanding what is a deepfake and what is not, even humans have real trouble to differentiate them. So how can we actually train an algorithm to do something that a human cannot do? Honestly, you have better answers than me on that question. And in my opinion, what we've used are really like state-of-the-art stuff that are available in the field. And here we could really make progress solving questions that weren't solvable before. But that question of deepfake, I'm not that sure yet.
Yes, I'm interested in all the other tools that you have here.
Okay. Maybe the first thing I can say about this, they are not in a logical order. They are just in an order of which we were tackling the challenge one by one. So the first challenge we had a data scientist coming to us and say, "Hey guys, don't you think we could use machine learning within the archives?" And he said, "Well, probably, I don't know. What do you think?" And so the first challenge we decided to tackle was regarding quality. The quality of the video we've digitized. And so we started with regular algorithms to check the quality of video files that we were digitizing, like the artifacts you can detect, but you have regular algorithms for that. But then with machine learning, we tried to ask a little bit more difficult question. The question is the video we have digitized actually the right one according to metadata we have? And how can we be sure of that without having to have a look at the video itself, without having a human looking at the video? And for that question, we started using this similarity search stuff out of the features extracted from the video. So that's where, so the quality check, the first one is actually where our journey begins. And then the workflow is just a monitoring tool we needed for the beginning. The segmenting creation is it's an automating tool. That's where we saved time to real human just to find specific videos we needed to find automatically. And there was a way for that. So we went on with the facial recognition of the speaker identification. Then the gender identification. If you want to know more about one of those, please ask. Gender identification, we've also done a few political stuff about this. And then the visual search is just what I show you with just one example, but there are others. And classifier, maybe I just end the general presentation of what we did. It's a way to avoid having to ask to data scientists, can we solve the question? We noticed something that you may have noticed in the past, is that every time you go to a data scientist and ask, can you solve that specific question? The answer is always, I don't know, I have to test. And as they always answer that, we thought, okay, maybe we should build a tool, and that's this tool, classification tool, where a regular human with no data science skill can actually upload photo for himself and build a custom classifier so he can test if this algorithm that we have implemented actually solve his problem or not. So that's what we've done lately. Yeah.
Is that tool used only internally or already available to the public? And if not, is it planned to get it to the public?
So it's only internally for that part. It has consequences that are visible for the general public, but for the moment we cannot give access even to journalists for some part of the tool. For example, the tool I've showed you, the visual search for this guy, you can actually upload a photo of your wife or a photo of anyone here in the room. And so this tool isn't available at all, even internally. It's only specific people who actually signed some kind of, if you do something wrong, you'll get fired and go to jail. And they are tracked. So along the path, along the way of putting these tools into production, we've also had to build our own version of this kind of text we all love, with you must click there to be sure of, etc. So no, all these tools we have are not all deployed outside, and even not completely deployed internally. But they are all in production right now.
So I have a question. What are the most common requests you get from journalists?
Well, journalists tend to find always things that are impossible to do. So, I don't know if it's the most common. The most common is, okay, let's find me this archive, or find me everything you know about Benoit 16 for in 5 minutes, and but only the stuff that is really relevant, you know. So that's the kind of question we have all the time. So I don't know if you can have a pattern, and honestly, these tools just add a value for questions that maybe were unanswered before, and doesn't. For the moment, they don't really change that kind of behavior and service we offer to journalists. But maybe what had the more impact so far are questions related to, in redaction, I mean, for journalists, is questions related to gender. Here I can do a short demo also. So we've built a specific tool, and I will do it live. Here I'm just, for example, I can take December. I just in live select 30 times 30 minutes of video of our main news show. And now he's parsing all these videos, and there is an algorithm to select what are the situations within this video where there is a guest. What's that? Okay, it's me. Up. That would be better. So this algorithm selects what are the situations where there is a guest, and then it recognizes the faces and if it's a man or a woman. And so here you can see he recognizes it's a man, but also he knows who it is. But you have other examples like this woman. We just don't know who it is yet. We don't have the profile in the people database, but we still have this tool where we can really quite easily identify who are the male and female guests. And so that kind of tool has had quite a lot of impact in the redaction, because it's easy now to have this kind of statistics saying, okay, not so bad. Now I show only December because I think it's the best month. And we have made, at the request of redaction, other tools I will not show you the results of, but for example, it's easy for us to understand now what's the number of minutes of this kind of person is appearing on stage, and what kind of other person is appearing on stage, that kind of stuff. So that has had quite a lot of impact for redaction right now.
I think it's complementary to the question that was asked, but I feel that there's tremendous value in having an archive. Right now that you're digitizing, I guess you have all kinds of analog content that you had to digitize nonetheless, put in a common format. I mean, for the first time, you're able to potentially see the entire spectrum of information you've created over decades. And I mean, there's little that suggests that, at least from what I see there, some kind of a dashboard where I can see, you know, like in Google Books, Ngrams, you know, how did a certain topic evolve over time? You know, what were the interests of different regions in Switzerland in different points in time? These kinds of Google Trends kind of results that would be very, very useful to provide to the general public, I guess, for analysis and whatnot.
Yeah, we thought exactly like you, and we still think exactly like you. What we've did in this regard, we've tried several user interfaces for that. We've made a sub-mini project saying Archive Explorer with the whole content accessible. And for the moment, so far, we are a bit struggling with providing a really cool, easy, usable interface people will actually use. And so that's where we are. But definitely, that's our goal. Our strategy in general is to open our archives. And we'd love to, once we have a bit more clearance of the rights issues we still have somehow, but it's on process. We'd love really to provide exactly the kind of product, of interface that you are talking about. But for the moment, we are kind of struggling. So if you have ideas, if you want to do hackathons with us about this, etc., do not hesitate to come, because really yeah, I think we have to find ways to really navigate through a lot of bunch of content. And for the moment, what we have seen working are really like, okay, Google-like searches. Okay, that works. And well, what else? What else? But yes, definitely we want to do that.
So we have time for one final question.
Hi. I like the modality, by the way. I like it very much. I find it very interesting and entertaining as well. I have two questions, so feel free to answer only one of them if due to time constraints. So the first one is, does high resolution video like 4K pose a challenge, or is it interesting for you to try to process high resolution? And the second one is maybe more general question. The second one is, nowadays you would think that these systems, you can get them from other companies. So what is the value that it provides to do it in-house for you? I'm sure there is one, but I'm curious to know more about that.
Yeah, clearly there is one. The high-res video doesn't really pose a challenge, except that, of course, you have to process it before, and it's a matter of cost and cost of processing. So, and actually, to answer your second question, it's also a matter of costs, oddly enough. It was actually much less costly to do it internally than to use the tools available. But besides that, that's not the main reason. Main reason is, with these tools, we actually now are able to keep the valuable data in our own hands. That's, I think, the real main reason. When you use the Amazon Recon and the Google Vision API, what you get is the final output. So you provide a video, and you get, as an output, you get like Donald Trump is in it or not. And here we have two problems. First, we don't want to recognize Donald Trump. That's too easy. I didn't show you, but we are actually able to recognize Nathalie Fontanet. Okay, she's a really local politician. Maybe not all of you know. So the first problem with these APIs, they do not recognize the people we are actually interested in so far. But that will be a problem that will be solved eventually. And the other problem, more critical, more important for public service media, I think, is that Google, Amazon, and the likes, the Microsoft, the IBM, they keep the features from themselves. They know that's where the value is. And here, we actually keep the features internally, we handle it, and that's the way we actually can provide tools like visual search. If we didn't keep the feature, with just the output, you cannot at all provide that. So these are the two main reasons, except also that it has been proven to be like not 10 times, but quite less expensive, oddly enough.
Thank you.